So what I'm thinking about, the way I'm thinking about this could potentially be the end of smart wallets.
So I was telling Nor the other day about that I'd seen like a tweet that the new multi-collateral DAI is going to have meta transactions like built into it so that you don't need to use ETH to pay for gas. And he was like, what are you talking about? Like, that's such a big deal. Where did you see that? So we kind of dug into it more, and he explained to me that like, and we looked at the code. It's actually pretty short, but he explained to me that like it's got really huge implications for how people can build on MakerDAO once the NCD comes out.
So surprisingly, there's zero documentation about this online from the Maker team except for the source code itself, which is, as you said, it's very like short. So what I really like about this a lot is the fact that it's so unopinionated how the Maker team has done this, and they haven't talked about this at all, like anywhere. They should be really bragging about this because it's probably the best meta transactions that I've seen so far, and it's only like 20 lines of code.
Yeah, your first reaction to it was that it was quite elegant, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Because it's very flexible. It allows us or other teams to build meta transactions the way they want, except for Maker kind of like building their own like meta transaction layers and system, etc. They're not going to do that. They're going to allow us and the app developers to take the role of.
So real quick for people who are like first introduced to meta transactions, like what is that? Like just like at a high level first.
So meta transactions are a way for you to delegate transactions to someone else for them to pay for your gas fees. That's
okay,
basically it. So you don't have to pay Ether, but then
so which is important for like onboarding and user experience, so that people don't have these clunky steps.
It's very important. It's very important to be able to use one token at a time instead of having to worry about more than one token. So, for example, in the case of DAI, you don't have to worry about owning DAI and Ether. You only have to worry about DAI.
And so as you said, like that's possible right now in a very different way, and it's currently much harder to do meta transactions, right?
Yeah, so meta transactions have been a difficult problem since the Ethereum white paper, and they've talked about it in the white paper about the problem. There was no solution back then, and there have been so many different groups for the past 4 years working on it until the last upgrade. Only like the last Ethereum upgrade, the Constantinople upgrade. There's been no solution, and then we've had smart wallets or meta deployments, which is now the only way it has been the only way of doing like fully gasless or just meta transactions for DAI or any other token. But now so we've had this in the wallet layer. Now Maker is doing it in the token layer.
Right.
So it's native in the token itself. So we don't have to kind of create workarounds such as smart wallets, which have other trade-offs such as cost or gas costs, etc. So this is much better in terms of gas cost, in terms of usability, in terms of even smart wallets also have storage, negative externalities to the Ethereum blockchain. So all of these trade-offs are gone. Only in the case of DAI itself, though. So not in other tokens.
So I'm curious what you see as potential like use cases for this, like things that we haven't seen built yet, or maybe things that are built that could be built better.
So what's really cool about this is the fact that we can also have existing wallets work seamlessly with meta transactions, such as MetaMask, for example.
Okay.
So in smart wallets, because your balance is actually held by a smart contract, it doesn't show in like traditional wallets such as MetaMask. But now we can do meta transactions and also have your balance show up as you would normally see in MetaMask without even the MetaMask team doing anything. So integration with existing wallets is going to be so much easier than it has been with smart wallets, because traditional wallets becoming smart wallets requires rebuilding the entire client or the entire wallet itself. So we don't have to do this.
So it sounds like a bit of a leapfrog opportunity for existing wallets to go from where they are now to meta transactions without having to.
Yeah. Without also the downsides are the negative externalities to the Ethereum blockchain, such as storage, as well as the gas cost for deploying smart wallets before, which has been the biggest downside of using smart wallets. So now we don't have this. Now you just do meta transactions, and by default you can do it in DAI. So what I'm thinking about, the way I'm thinking about this could potentially be the end of smart wallets. And I've been really the biggest proponent of smart wallets.
Okay.
I've told myself before, and I've had like this huge like article about like the fact that smart wallet standards going to replace token standards, and now it's actually the other way. So this is like a token change that's enabling this instead of a smart wallet standard like I was predicting. But I think the way Maker has done it is far superior to any other way we could have done it in smart wallets.
I see.
The problem is that it's inapplicable to other tokens. Smart wallets allow this to happen for any token.
Right.
But we need each and every token to implement this
I see.
and to migrate their contracts, which smart wallets do not require.
Right.
So we can just implement a feature, apply it to everything. We don't need some developers of a token contract like Maker to do this.
So for context, you built MetaMask. Is MetaMask a
Metacash.
Sorry, Metacash. Is Metacash a smart wallet?
Yes.
Okay.
So
and then I remember too when we've used it, like the very first time you use it, it takes a long time and it costs more money because it's doing that whole setup process.
yeah, exactly. So that's something that's not that's not going to be in the next built-in meta transaction feature of Maker of multi-collateral DAI.
Right.
So we're not going to be deploying smart wallets because we're not using smart wallets. In smart wallets, first you have to deploy a smart wallet contract per user, and this is why it's so expensive in the first transaction, because you have to deploy it, and then you can interact with that contract later, which is a lot less expensive. So, and also, as I said before, this is horrible on like a macro level for Ethereum itself, because it's going to fill Ethereum with redundant contracts, which we've had ways to reduce. But again, still, it's going to be very redundant. Using something like this, there are no more contracts that need to be deployed. We can also replace every feature of smart wallets, specifically for DAI, using this, using Singleton contracts instead of smart contract wallets. So we can have a single contract, kind of become a controller for all user funds, using meta transactions, and offer the same experience of smart wallets, but
so
without
still being able to do like account recovery and all those other sort of functions, but at token level.
Exactly. So we can do account recovery. We can even create all kinds of very sophisticated recovery systems like Gnosis Safe, for example, or Argent maybe. So we can do all of this using the coming feature in DAI, but only for DAI. So this is the limitation here. Smart wallets have no limitations in terms of the tokens they can integrate with. But I think like this is fair because DAI is really, at least for many use cases, DAI is the token that needs this feature the most, because you don't expect the average person using DAI as a stable coin to be as the same sophisticated user using other tokens. So I feel like this is an acceptable limitation. So there are really crazy ways of using this feature. So for example, you could something you could do, because you can give this feature allows you to give another contract complete control over your account using meta transactions. So you could like give this control and then destroy your private key, and then allow this private key to do whatever it wants, or have allow this contract to control your funds and implement any kind of recovery system you want. So you can, for example, instantiate a wallet or create a wallet using a private key, and then destroy it after you give ownership to that contract, and then add that contract. There are other keys that you use.
Right.
And then use.
Sounds like it makes way for like managed financial services to be able to control your DAI for you on your behalf, and you'll be able to pull the pin on it and things like that at different times.
So you can create limited privileges for other agents to control your funds. Or maybe interact with certain contracts under certain conditions to also protect your funds as a user. Same way you do with smart wallets, except that it's a single contract that does this for everyone. So we don't have to create this redundancy and these additional costs for users. And it feels like this is how it should have been for a long time.
We've been excited about MCD, multi-collateral DAI, and like we're focusing a lot on the new collateral we can offer. But like there's this thing going on under the surface that is not being acknowledged in the conversation, and it's actually going to make a huge difference in how people are building on DAI.
And I'm surprised why the Maker team hasn't been talking about this a lot, because the code is beautiful, and also like it's so short. anyone can read it.
It's getting stuck.
No, it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Beautiful mind over here.
It is beautiful. It's so beautiful because every other implementation I've seen is far more complicated.
Yeah.
And this is not a standard. Like this, they're not following any standard. They just came up with this.
They just set the standard.
Yeah. I'm surprised they're not bragging about this. They really should, and they really should be explaining this, in my opinion, more to the community.
Yeah.
Because definitely, I mean, multi-collateral DAI is coming soon, I think. So it's very important for people to start seeing this. So stuff like the Metacash wallet that I built before, the main complaint and the main negative reviews we've had on Google Play Store were high fees for the first transaction. So I'm very sure if this kind of improvement in the case of that wallet is going to create a tremendous improvement for users. So a lot more developers should know about this, and we should have more explanations of this feature by the maker team than just the source code.